Once again, someone with a lot of talent slips through the cracks in WWE's developmental. Welcome back, everyone. This is Jason, aka J-Bone of the Ramblin' About Wrestling podcast, right here to bring you my thoughts on the news that came out last week of Sami Callihan, aka Solomon Crowe, is done with the WWE. What it seemed like at first was that he was fired, but then the news came out that he actually asked for his release, which is, it's, I understand why. I was really excited when I heard that he got signed and he was down in NXT. And, NXT has been really exciting over the course of the last few years, really growing as a brand. They've been getting a lot of really cool faces in there. Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, just to name a few. Faces have come and gone from there. Have gone up to the main roster. Guys like, the most recent, look at Tyler Breeze, got that feud with Ziggler going, which I think is pretty good. Good for Tyler Breeze, maybe not so good for Ziggler, but those two are still going to burn the house down whenever they get in the ring together. And you look at in the past in NXT when a few others have gone by the wayside, and you really didn't really, guys like gosh, now I can't even think of his name. The hippie guy that just asked for his release, and now he's in New Japan. Sorry, I can't remember his name. Damn. Anyways, or a guy like Chris Hero got let go a couple of years ago. Right around the time when I started doing these videos, and that was one that completely boggled my mind. Guy so talented and even decent on cutting a promo. I just didn't get it. Back to Sami. He asks for his release, and he's already on the independent scene again. Apparently, didn't take long at all. He showed up at some show in Chicago and attacked Eddie Kingston. Would have loved to have seen that. So yeah, he's wasting no time at all getting back out there, doing what he does best. Over the last couple of years, we've seen Sami go through some really weird gimmicks. They were trying to do the whole hacker deal, which is, it wasn't a bad deal, but I don't know. I would have loved to have seen what they did more, at the house shows, because I heard about them. I didn't see any of the videos. I wish they could have pulled off something like that on NXT television. Maybe it would have been a little more interesting. And no, I'm not talking about the old vignettes that came popping up on YouTube that got released where he's like in the weird suit at the desk with the cane. I'm not talking about those. When I first saw them, I was excited to see that they were doing something with them, but I wasn't a big fan of the promos. I felt they just didn't really they didn't hit that mark. So I spent a good chunk of this morning going back, and because I hadn't seen them in so long. It was all sporadic when they finally hit NXT television over the course of the last few months. The biggest thing he did was hit that when it was like a couple months ago when he hit that tournament with Neville for the Dusty Classic, and I was like, wow, they're really maybe this is a sign that they're doing something with him, and thought maybe okay they're not going to win, but maybe it'll turn into a cool feud between Neville and Solomon Crowe. But that wasn't going to happen because Neville's on the main roster now, This is another case where I think they completely overthought what they could have done with him. You go back and you look at some of these old promos from a few years back before he hit NXT. You look at the old stuff that he used to do with Jon Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose. Seriously, whether you're a fan of Callahan's or not, and I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast with the guys. We've had some guys on who aren't a fan of his, and that's fine. I don't care what he's done in his personal life. That I don't. I'm more a fan of just watching him in the ring. I know some guys, you hear what they do in their personal life, and it affects how you watch them. Whether it affects their fan base or whatever. Me, it was like whatever. But it's not rocket science to see that he had a tremendous amount of chemistry with Dean Ambrose. And they're not doing, well, okay, Dean Ambrose was in that tournament with, and was in the finals with Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. So that's big, even though it really didn't look like he was going to win. So, I was hoping, I was like, hey, maybe they're really going to pull the trigger here and do something different, do something wild, Dean's getting great pops whenever he comes out. It's not rocket science. He doesn't get half boos, half cheers. No, when he comes out, the place goes apeshit. So it seems like he's kind of in that, not necessarily limbo. He's doing the whole IC thing with Kevin Owens, and I think that's tremendous. Don't get me wrong. I think that's great. I can't wait to see these two tear it up. Excuse me. This whole third shift thing is kicking my ass. That's why I haven't been on here much lately. I apologize. So as soon as I'm done making this, I'm going to bed. But yeah, my point about Dean Ambrose and Sami Callihan is, would it have been that difficult to throw these two together and make some kind of dangerous alliance, It would have been easy as pie. You already have the lunatic fringe in Dean Ambrose, which it's a great gimmick, but he's really not doing that much lately. That's shows that he's a lunatic, you know. He's not he's not attacking people at random. He's not doing promos in straitjackets. He's not scaring people. He's not they could literally turn him into the next Stone Cold Steve Austin if they wanted to. It's not a bad idea, guys. It's like I said, it's not rocket science. You've got a guy that can cut promos on a whim that are goofy, crazy, scary, whatever. He can do it all. I watched a bunch of those before I made this too. It's like proof positive. It's there. And you put a guy like Sami Callihan with him, you make this dangerous tag team, and they can run amok. Hell, okay, maybe you're not going to have the biggest guy in Sami Callihan, so it might be, kind of dangerous, putting him up against the big guys like the Wyatts. But man, he's a freaking fireball, dude. You can just, it's like watching Kalisto. Although that's another thing. Kalisto and Callahan used to tear it up in Evolve. Now, I have not seen the matches, but I know they have a history. So I was actually really looking forward to that too, eventually seeing that happen. Or Callahan versus Kevin Owens. Or any number of them. There's so many guys you could pick. You could put Callahan against and make it work. It's, they slingshot guys to the main roster, guys like Braun Strowman, big guy, a brawler. Doesn't have to do too much, he's a presence. Decent wrestler. Wasn't even on NXT television. That was the biggest surprise when he showed up. It was like, whoa. I'm a fan. I like it. You've got another big guy that can move. Unlike Khali, they finally have some big guys in there that can really kick some ass and move. They're not just, I think he's gonna go far. Could even be one of the champs someday. So, my point in that is they slingshot a guy like him to the main roster, put him with the Wyatts. Why couldn't they do that with Sami? They barely had Kevin Owens in NXT for a cup of coffee. Now, what he did in there was significant, They started that great feud with Sami Zayn. And unfortunately couldn't go any further with it because he was injured. Sami was injured. And you look at guys like Callahan, and they're so talented in the ring, and you just let them do their thing. Don't put a cape on them. Don't put a stupid looking suit on them. not everyone has to have a stupid gimmick. Yeah, it's nice when you can have a gimmick and you can put over and win over with the crowd. I get it. Look at Sandow. He used to come out with the robe and speak eloquently, or intelligently. And that was great. I mean, where the hell's he been? I miss him. It's just stupid. I'm not pissed off about it. I'm just kind of bummed, I'm still a fan of Sami Callihan's, and I hope he does well in Independence. I'm hoping. The independents have changed a lot over the course of the last few years. There's new stuff, becoming more and more popular. Maybe he'll show up in PWG, or maybe he'll go back to the House of Hardcore. He was there right before he went to NXT, I think, for a few shows. Hey, he'd be perfect in Lucha Underground. Oh my God. Sami Callihan versus Phoenix. Oh, get out of here. Headliner. Definitely. So yeah, that's about it. I'm bummed. A mild rant for me on this. Just some thoughts, What do you think? Do you miss him? Do you think he's going to do okay in Independence? I don't see him going back to the WWE someday. Some get a second chance, not too many do. But it is what it is. I think he's going to, end up champ somewhere again. And hopefully he'll come to my town with some big show. That'd be cool. So what do you think? Put it in the comments below. Let me know what you think about all this. All right, thanks for watching.